Hey everybody, can you all hear me? I hope. Always have all kinds of technical difficulties when I start these things. Can you all hear me okay? Awesome, thank you. Well, hey everybody, welcome to the 10,000 subs live stream. We made it. So thank you to all of you. I figured, I couldn't think of a whiteboard, and so I was looking at the discussion, and I think the consensus among the Wheel of Time community is that Danny DeVito needs to play a role in the show. So hey, so first of all, I wanted to start off with this on the live. Thank you all for getting here. We hit 10,000 subs in like 8 months. I want to give a couple thank yous on that. Number one, Daniel Green has been awesome. So a lot of you come from his channel, and he's been super supportive. So wanted to thank him, and just exciting stuff, guys. We're coming up even closer to the show, so I know a lot of you are excited about that. So anyways, I am pumped for the future, as fast as we're growing, and I know the more and more news that comes out. My goal when I started this, and I apologize, by the way, I'm a little hoarse. I'll be drinking a little bit here because I'm trying to get my voice back. But as more and more news comes out, we're going to be getting, I think the channel's going to grow a little bit more. So I'm excited about that. And so, yeah. So I wanted to celebrate by having a live stream. Believe it or not, actually, Daniel Green and I were going to do this one together. And he ended up going to LA to go be with his dad or something stupid. He's got to get his priorities straight. But we will be doing a collaboration here in the near future. So just a heads up on that. So I wanted to start this way for a lot of you. Just to kind of start the conversation going. Let's talk about the Wheel of Time show. What you're excited about, what you're not excited about. And by the way, if you're just getting in here, please take a moment and like the video. It really helps with having YouTube promote this thing. So if you guys all click the like button while you're watching this, it really helps YouTube promote it. But my goal in starting this channel was to get, I guess, help bring awareness to the Wheel of Time community. Give us a place to talk. I just never had friends that read the books. And so I was always talking to people about it and trying to get people to read it. And I wish I used to go on the forums on like Dragon Mount or Wattmania back when it existed, before it was absorbed into Dragon Mount. And I used to go on those places just to talk about it. And I would go on YouTube all the time. So when they announced the show, I don't know if any of you were like this, but when they announced the show, this was a couple years back, when they figured out the legal stuff, I kept going on YouTube and looking for news, or I'd type in Wheel of Time on YouTube, and there just wasn't anything until one day Daniel popped up, and he was there and he was like the one Wheel of Time thing on YouTube at that point that wasn't the garbage Winter Dragon and all that. And I thought, oh, I like this, an instant sub. So I saw that video and I instantly subbed to Daniel, saw him release a bunch more Wheel of Time stuff. And I kept thinking, oh, somebody else will hop on this bandwagon now. Somebody else is going to do it. And nobody ever did. And I thought, you know what? I like talking about the Wheel of Time. Why don't I start a YouTube channel about it? And so that's where we're at now. And so I'm pumped about that. So by the way, if you are, the question I posed to you guys, I'm giving a couple of you, a lot of you time to respond to it. What are you excited about for the show? So this will kind of be a good springboard for the conversation here going forward. And again, if you are brand new or if you're new to the live stream, hey, please hit the like button on your on however you're watching this. Like I said, it does help promote the video so more people will see it pop up. So if you don't mind. So hey, let me hit some of your comments in the live stream, or on the live chat. So Stubble McShave is excited to see the scenes that are not shown through the point of views in the book, like Tam and Abel visiting Tarbell. I agree with this. So actually, let's take that question. I love that comment, Stubble McShave. I love it. I love it. I love it. So what, again, the question was, he's excited to see some of the point of views or things that we see that happen off screen while we're reading. So some of that stuff. Let's ask a follow-up to everybody on that. What are some scenes off scene that you guys really want to see in the show? I agree with that one. I would like to see more of what Moraine was doing behind the scenes. I love Moraine as a character, and I think if they've got Rosamund Pike, they need to use her more. So I'd love to see some stuff that we didn't see out of her. Okay, so as you guys answer that, let me hit some of these because I am really bad about hitting some of this stuff. Ross, I am excited to see a story where the heroes can be real heroes, but also have flaws. Agreed. I like gray area characters. I'm not necessarily gray in terms of whether they're good or bad, but that they're screwed up. Okay. Sorry if you hear me drinking. For me to keep a voice and do this, I'm going to have to. So apologize ahead of time. Excited about Nynaeve. I know some people are upset about her casting, but the first thing to remember, my favorite character is going to be played by someone who kind of looks like me. I am so happy to hear you say that. I actually love Nynaeve casting. Guys, if you did not check out my video response on the casting, let me give you a little background on what I did. I waited a day to respond to the casting stuff, primarily because I didn't want to talk at it from a place of ignorance. I hadn't seen, they were all relative unknowns. I hadn't heard of any of them or seen any of them before. So what I did that night, I kind of pulled kind of an all-nighter, and I watched all of the movies. I watched all of the shows as much as I could of all of the actors and actresses that were cast. And honestly, I'm really, really pumped about it. Very, very pumped about it. They were all really good. The only ones that I didn't get to see a lot of, Barney was one of them. Oh, hey, Shaya, Storm Dragon, thank you so much for the donation. Thank you very, very much. Let me read what you said. I am interested in seeing what they do with Loyal. Love your channel. So glad I found it. Watch Jeopardy Rocks. Thank you. And actually, stay tuned to the end of the live stream. We will be announcing the next Wheel of Time Jeopardy contest on this very live stream at the very end of it. So just a heads up, peeps. We will be talking about how you can be the next contestant to go against Angry Trevor on Wheel of Time Jeopardy. But hey, thank you so much for the donation. I appreciate that so much. Okay, so I am interested in seeing what they do with Loyal too. My initial thought, so I don't think this is going to happen, but initially when I was thinking about them making the show, I thought an actual cut they could make would be cutting the Ogier. Now, I don't want that to happen, so don't hear me say that. I do not want that. I just think that the Ogier could be cut and really not damage the story. Like, a lot of that could be done through other means, okay? So I figured that would be something they can cut. However, the reason I don't think that's going to happen is because Rafe tweeted out a Glory to the Builders tweet while he was writing attached to a script. So I think Loyal's going to be in there because they wouldn't have said that unless they are really kind of reworking some things. So I think we're going to see us some Ogier. Oh, the Book Refuge. Thank you again for the donations. Love it, guys. Congrats on 10K. Question. Since the 5 young people cast are relatively unknown, do you think the reason Lan wasn't cast yet is because he will be more well-known? Who are your front runners still for him? Okay. I do think that. I do think he has not been cast. Well, I should say this. I think he's been cast. I don't think we know who he is. I have a casting video out by Lan. I did very few of these because, frankly, I figured there's no way we're going to nail the casting. They're going to go for people no matter who I want. But I did do a casting video on Lan. It was one of the first ones I did. And my pick for Lan, definitely watch the video so you can kind of see the clips because you may not know who I'm talking about. But my pick for Lan was Daniel Wu. He is, I'd say probably, he's been in a bunch of movies, but I'd say his best known role is Into the Badlands, where he plays the main character, Sonny. He is an Asian actor. The reason I picked him, number one, because they describe the Borderlands as very Asian style and culture. So it would be an easy fit. but he's a martial artist, like a very, very good martial artist, not a TV martial artist. He's actually one. And he choreographed a lot of the fight scenes for that show. And a lot of the sword forms, just in case you guys don't know, the sword forms described in Wheel of Time are Asian-style martial arts sword forms. So it really made sense to me for them to be able to cast somebody. I want them to get the fighting right. And that's why I wanted them to cast him, because he could not only be that kind of dominating fighter type figure, but also be somebody to be able to choreograph a lot of the fight scenes that we're going to see and have them be high quality. So Daniel Wu was my pick. Now, that's not to say that there are other bad ones. If I had to put my money on it, I don't think it'll be him. He is free right now, so maybe. I'm not really, I'm not going to be upset because I think they'll do a good job. I've been very happy with the casting. A lot of you know that. A lot of people have given me flack for it, but I am excited for it. And I think Daniel Wu would be a very, very good pick. If you haven't ever seen him, when this is over, go watch the video I did on it. I think it'll explain a little bit about some of the casting choices. Daniel Wu is 6'3", Ross. He's 6'2", 6'3", so he's not a short guy. And so anyways, let me hit on some of your comments here. I am really, really bad about hitting on comments. So, where are we at? So a couple of you are agreeing with me on the Daniel Wu pick. I actually hope it is him. I really like him. Danny DeVito as Tom. Yeah, I think that's a given. I think Danny DeVito would be a great Tom, just flipping around and all that. I wonder if we'll get more hints about Tom and Moiraine early on. So guys, I'm going to say this. I'm going to try to avoid any major spoilers. So we're going to call this although we're not going to be able to avoid that, we're talking about the Wheel of Time. So FYI, I just want to be very, very careful. I will not try to do any major like, hey, here's what happens in the last battle. I'm not going to do that. But we may hit on a couple small plot points. So just be careful. We may try, if there's anything major going to come up, I'll try to do earmuffs for you or something like that. But so I wonder if we'll see more hints about Tom and Moiraine early on. It's implied a lot of their relationship is off screen. Yeah, I think there's more of a mutual respect between the two. And one of the I don't want to call it a trope, but one of the themes that Robert Jordan tends to do in the books, a lot of the relationships that happen are because of prophecy, which is kind of weird. Like Moiraine knew about Tom, which fed into her wanting to be with Tom, but yet maybe they also had a connection anyway. So like, did it happen because of the prophecy? Who knows? The same thing kind of happens with Min. Like the fact that Rand and Egwene don't end up getting together kind of started with Min telling Rand that she's not for him. So again, that's kind of a trope, I guess, that Robert Jordan does a lot. I am kind of excited to see how they make that chemistry work. Writing, portraying relationships is a lot more difficult, I think, on page than it is in story form when you get to watch it on a show. I love the fact that this is going to be a TV show and not a movie, because I think they can make a lot of these relationships kind of a slow burn, which I think is the best way of making them feel authentic and real. A good example of that, believe it or not, is The Office, the American version of The Office. The relationship between Pam and Jim was a slow burn. And the reason that it worked in that show, even though it's a comedy, I think it's one of the best on-screen relationships ever in a show. The reason that worked was because of the slow burn. So I think they're going to be able to do a little bit more of that. So hopefully that's what we get to see. So, okay, Nae'Blis, how do you think they will handle 3 strong women all fawning over Rand? I hope they cut that, frankly. I'm not sure what they're going to do with that yet. Sorry, again, apologizing. I got a drink. It's a weird combination here, because I think the initial reaction that I think I've read, at least in criticism of that, is that you've got women like basically dropping at their feet, wanting to fawn over Rand, right? But the reality is that's really not how it plays out. And a lot of it is this Taviran type nature pulling these people together despite their best intention. Like Rand isn't comfortable having 3 people into him. Avienda tries to run from this and run from it and run from it. Min knows it's going to happen, so that's interesting. And then Elaine is kind of it starts off as kind of a very much of a respect, like they both are powerful people. So I don't necessarily think they're fawning over him. I don't necessarily think that that's actually how it is. I think if you look at it from a distance, you might say that. I'm interested to see what some of your all's reactions on that are. Okay. So where are we at? Yeah, a couple of you are agreeing what Avienda does as fawning. I don't think that is. I don't think she does. I think she kind of tries to run away from it. Danny DeVito as Hopper. I could see that work. Danny DeVito as Basil Gill. Now that one's almost dead on. Like that, Danny DeVito could be Basil Gill, I guess. Danny DeVito cast as Daniel Green. There's a resemblance. The only one who really fawns over him is Elaine. I'm not even sure that Elaine necessarily fawns over him. I think she has a crush, and I think you also have to remember, again, these characters are, I mean, Elaine is like 18, 19 years old. You know, I think it's easy sometimes to start thinking that they're older, and because the reality is a lot of them grow up very quickly, and I think that's part of some people's problem, like saying that, for instance, Rand, Perrin, Matt, Egwene are Mary Sue type characters, because frankly, in a sense, they kind of are, but they have reasons for being that. If that makes sense. I don't think that they are necessarily. They have reasons for being that story-wise. And because of that, I think that they're older. Like when we get in Egwene's head, for instance, throughout the show or throughout the books, Egwene outthinks people that are 100 years older than her. You know, sometimes that may be unrealistic, but she's also looking at it from a fresh standpoint, and a lot of these Aes Sedai are stuck in their ways. So they come across as older from our point of view. But that's also, so this brings up a different point. I wonder what you guys' thoughts on this are. One of the dangers of point of view is when you have an unreliable narrator, you tend to believe the unreliable narrator. And I'll give you an example. When I read The Wheel of Time the first time through, I did not perceive Rand as being crazy. I thought everybody else was just thinking he was crazy. And the reality was, nope, he was crazy. And it was because I was projecting through who we got our information from, if that makes sense. So anywho, let me read some of your comments. I think that they should only cut out some political things. Maybe it's my love for the series, but that's the only thing that should be cut. Minimal cuts, not much. I've debated making a video. It's a longer video, and I don't know. I know it would be a good one. I just don't know if I have time to make it. I map out what I think they could do for the show. I want to make sure. I want to go through and say, all right, what could I see them cutting? What could I not see them cutting? Because there are a lot of things that I think could be cut, but there's a lot of things that have. I did a video on this, collateral damage. Like if I cut this thing, then all these other things need changed, and is that worth it? Okay. Whoa, hey, I'll come back to that. Amanda Oddner. I'm hopefully saying that correctly. 2 donations. You did not need to do that. Thank you so much. I want to see Tam find out that Rand is the Dragon Reborn on screen. Minor spoilers. Also, I hope they get Jeffrey D. Morgan to play Tam. That would be an interesting pick. So you want to see Tam find out that Rand is the Dragon Reborn on screen. I think that would be actually really cool. Now that I think about it, like you got to wonder, like, how did he react when he first heard that? Did he believe it? I have a feeling Tam, my personal opinion, that Tam probably believed it. That's my guess. Because he kind of knew something was different about Rand. I think that he knew. Now, Jeffrey D. Morgan as Tam would be awesome. My only issue with that is I can't get Negan out of my head with Jeffrey Dean Morgan, and just thinking of him being baseball bat carrying guy also as Tam. It's hard for me, but he would be really, really good. Okay, so are you guys there? Am I frozen still? Somebody tell me that I'm not frozen. Okay. Again, sorry, apologize for the drinking, everybody. I'm trying to get my voice back. Okay, working just fine. Hey, again, a quick reminder, like the video if please like the video as you're hopping on here. It helps promote the live stream in the YouTube algorithm. So if you hit the like button, that really, really helps things. I appreciate you guys doing that. Also, just a heads up, what we're going to be hitting on here towards the end of the live stream, I'm going to be announcing the next contest for the next Wheel of Time Jeopardy, which I know a lot of you have requested the ability to be on. This one is going to be a lot more we'll call it fair, and actually I think kind of for a good cause. So you'll see what we're going to announce that towards the end. But again, this is our 10,000 subs live stream. I appreciate all of you guys for joining and for subscribing and all that. So, okay. So back to the initial question I threw out there, what were some things that you guys were excited for? So there's a couple things if you want to answer. What are some things that you are excited for? Number two, what are some things that you would be like, that some off-screen things from the books that you want to see happen on screen? Daniel, you will be getting your Jeopardy place as soon as you finish the books, so you better do that. You got a book to finish. Finish it. Okay. Somebody wrote Asmodean's death. I don't want to see that on screen. I actually think that could be a really, really good mystery, just like it was. Keep it as a mystery. Noah Bauer, Marcus Rutherford, and Rosamund Pike are going to be awesome. I can't wait. Yeah, guys, I'm going to say this. I did my casting video. I watched a lot of the stuff. The one of the cast that I am the most excited for, just because I feel like I've got a better feel for his acting, Marcus Rutherford is awesome. Awesome as an actor. Great actor. Great for this role. He really, like, you watch some of his movies and I'm like, that's Perrin. That's definitely Perrin. I am excited for Maddie Madden as Egwene. Yeah, some of you agree with that. I think she's going to be very, very good. She's a very good actress. She was the one I was the most iffy on when I first, like, my gut reaction to seeing it was, But then I went and watched all of her stuff, and the more and more I watched of her, the more and more sold on her I was. So I'm a big fan of that with the cast. So, and guys, I'll throw this out there because I know not everybody in the live stream, and I do not want to open this can of worms on the live stream, so we are not going to get into talking about whether or not race should play a factor or anything like that. I don't want to get into that on this live stream, but what I will say, there were a couple things released here in the last couple days that gave a little bit more perspective. One of which comes from Robert Jordan, mixing up the two authors. Robert Jordan's assistant, talking about the casting choices and whether or not they were supposed to be all white people from Emmons Field. And basically she said no. So just a heads up, guys, there's some stuff out there. If you want to see, the whole Jordan camp is coming out and talking about the casting. I'm very excited for it, so I'll just tell you that. I'm very, very excited for that. So, in any case, I don't want to spend too much time talking on that. I feel like that's been beaten to death. So we'll kind of leave it at that. So, what would be interested to see the CGI budget per episode? I'm interested to see the budget per episode. That's one of the things I want to see because it's going to tell us a lot. I think it's going to be very high from the things I've seen, but we don't know. Don't know yet. We don't even know how many episodes we're getting yet. So these are the kind of things I'm excited to get. All right. Gary Coleman as Oliver. That might be too soon. Where would you start the show? Eye of the World or New Spring? Absolutely Eye of the World. Definitely not New Spring. To me, New Spring is good flashback material for later in the season or later in the series when we want to flesh out some of the things going on in the future. I don't think there should be any large amount of time set in the New Spring time period. I am very much looking forward to the sets. I agree, MK. I really want to see set photos. I want to see costume design. I want to see set photos. Those are two things I'm very, very excited to see. Here's my theory. Marcus Rutherford read the scene where in the Wine Spring Inn when Perrin breaks down, and I think that could be true. There's very few things that I could see Perrin doing making them cry, like they said, and yeah, I would love to know. I want to get an interview with the cast people, and by the way, I'm trying. I want to get interviews with the cast. I want to hear kind of what they did to prepare. I will tell you this, guys, and this was nice. Danny and I were talking about this other day because I know this is true, and I won't say why, but apparently our videos were used by the cast when they were auditioning. Like they watched our videos to get ideas about auditioning, which I found that out, and I was like, oh, wow, that's kind of cool. This just got real. So that's pretty cool. So just a heads up, like I guess we have, I don't want to say we have sway. We certainly don't have sway, but if this helped them get the roles, then awesome. I'm pretty pumped about it. So yeah, I found that part out. So, okay. In any case, yeah, I would love to see that Marcus casting video. Absolutely. So, let's see a backstory to 90s braid tugging. New Spring could be a spin-off 2-part miniseries between seasons. I think it could do that. They could make New Spring that. I think we're really going to get flashbacks. I think it's a narrative device they can use. This world lends itself well to flashbacks because once I care who Moraine is, then I'll be interested more about her backstory. So if that makes sense what I'm saying. I don't want what we need to avoid. The reason I don't want to start with New Spring, that's basically like having exposition. The more the show can avoid exposition of saying, here is what happened, and here's what happened, and then here's what happened, and now here's where we're at. The more of it can avoid, the better. So what I want them to do is show us things, have us not be sure who Moraine is, whether she's bad, good, whatever. And then I want them to be able to use flashbacks to flesh out her intentions, because there's a good part of the first couple books where, frankly, we really aren't sure what Moraine's intentions are. We aren't sure what's going on, what Swan Sanche's intentions are, things like that. So I want them to keep that stuff back. I don't want to see that. And I think, again, you have to look at this from the perspective of, if you're watching the show, you have to look at it from the perspective of somebody who's never read the series. And what are they going to think? Because that's, frankly, there's going to be more people that have never read it that are watching than there are people that have read it. And I know that's nuts, but I think that's probably going to be true. So I really want them to hold off on some of that, and I think it would be great down the line. Hopefully that answers your question, but that's what I hope, at least. So Nae'Blis as Bail Doman. Oh, definitely. Definitely. I don't think I can do a pirate voice very well, though, because that's basically what Bail Doman sounds like. I love Moraine, but we don't need to spend a lot of time with New Spring material except Guitar Morosa's foretelling. Agreed. I think that's really the only thing, and maybe the part where she meets Lan, and given a little bit of Lan's backstory, a little bit. I think that's about it. But I agree. I don't think they need to spend a ton of time in New Spring. What New Spring really did, aside from the foretelling and aside from her meeting Rand, those were really the only two things that are not Rand. I'm sorry, Moraine meeting Lan. The only other thing that was accomplished in that is more world building. For instance, we got more of the inner workings of the White Tower, how much money Aes Sedai got, how Aes Sedai's relationships work with each other, things like that. That's what we saw in New Spring. Other than the two plot points of the foretelling and then meeting land. That's really about it. So they're not going to need to spend a ton of time there. Okay, Nae'Blis, do you think Rafe has a say in whether or not the show airs weekly or all at once? I'm sure he has some say. I don't know how much say he'll have. We don't know a lot yet, guys, about the inner workings of the show. We know who are listed as producers. There's a lot of producers listed right now. A lot of that is contractual. Rosamund Pike is listed as a producer. Uda Bresowitz is listed as a producer. You've got Rafe as an executive producer. You've got the Red Eagle guys. There's like Larry Mondragon. There's a lot of them listed, and we don't really know who's calling the shots on that stuff, whether that's somebody at Amazon or not. But here's what I will know. They are not going to start filming and not know the answer to that question, because there is a way that you film those shows differently if it's going to be all released all at once, or if it's going to be week by week. There will be a different way that they format the story. So they know the answer to that question right now. I just don't think that they have released it. Stubble McShave, thank you for the donation. I'm not sure what in a sec is, but I appreciate that. Thank you so much. What do you think the first scene is? Prologue, Io War with foretelling, Moraine arriving, Tam and Rand on the road, or other? So I've gone back and forth on this, because a lot of me wants to agree with Daniel that the first scene should be Tam and Rand on the road. That to me fits. That being said, I think we may get a prologue with the Age of Legends. I think we may get the prologue. The reason I think that is because what's the name of we don't know the name of the show, but we can assume it's going to be Wheel of Time, right? What is the Wheel of Time? What is the concept of what we're looking at? And so, yeah, we can take out the prologue, but I actually think the prologue plays a fairly big role in setting up what's going to happen. And so I could see the prologue happening, and then as Dragonmount comes, you can get a pan out of the world basically breaking, so people understand that time has passed, right? So I think we could very well, and that could lead into the opening screen of what's going on, so we can see the world is different. Okay, I think that could happen. So I do think it's either going to be the prologue or Tam and Rand on the road. I do not think it will be the Io War. I don't think it'll be Moraine arriving. But we don't know yet. So I can't really answer that. I don't know. But I would like to see, I actually think I'd like to see the prologue as I think about it, because I just think it fits well into the theme of the show. MP Jedi 23. Say what? What? Did I do it? Thank you for the donation. I appreciate it. Okay. So do you guys, most of you want to see it weekly, or do you want to see it released all at once? I'm interested to hear what you all say. I know a couple of you are answering that question. A lot of you want to see weekly. I want to see it weekly, but I have very, very selfish reasons for that. The reasons I want to see it weekly are it seems like the consensus is, although a lot of you also do want binging. Hey, MK, do me a favor and count up the votes here, if you don't mind, because I can't do it. If you can count those up and let me know what the numbers are here, I'd be interested in announcing that. But I'm just basing it off of that. I'm going to say that most of you want weekly. Here's why I want weekly. I want weekly because I'm a content creator, and I want to be able to break down each episode over and over and over. That's what I want to be able to do. So I want to be able to go through and point out Easter eggs. I want to be able to go through and recap the episodes. I want to be able to get out 3 videos about each episode. I can't do that if it's released all at once. So yeah, the fanboy part of me wants to watch it all and take a day off of work and do nothing but watch it, like I did with like Stranger Things. But I also don't want to get it all done in a day and then be done with it. I want it to drag out. I want to be able to talk about it. I want to be able to get people into the show. I want to be able to do. So I really want it to be weekly. That's me. But 18 weekly so far, and how many want it to be all at once? A lot of you are saying it builds hype. I agree. Weekly is much better for wheel time. Watching parties, also agree. Binge. I'll see. Yeah, see if they do binge it. Here's what I'm still going to try to do that. It'll just be I can't make that many videos at once. I struggle to get out the videos I do, and so if they binge it, it's going to be hard to cover each episode like I want to. So I'm all for the weekly. So it looks like we have 8 in favor of binging, MK, and 18 in the weekly category, at least from our very informal poll there. So I think the majority that I've read elsewhere, people would like weekly. I'll be happy we're getting a show. So how about that? I'm not going to be pissed either way, but I would prefer weekly. So okay. Yearly. Well, get it 1 episode a year. How about that? Okay, so what else are you all binging makes it impossible to talk about it since people are at different points in the show. I also agree with that, but let me give you the counterpoint. So I'm going to argue against myself for a moment here. Here's the benefit of binging. I can tell you to watch a show. So if I've watched the whole show, I can get somebody say, hey, check this out. And what tends to happen on a binging show, I can get a friend to watch 1 episode and they'll watch all of them. But it's a lot harder to get somebody excited about watching something that they then have to wait on. Okay, there's a lot of people that won't do that. If you think about telling your friends, it's a little harder to become viral that way. But I would like the Game of Thrones type of hype. So that's just me. I would like it on Amazon. Now, HBO is more of a traditional cable network than Amazon Prime Video is. So I'm not sure how well it lends itself to that. Now, guys, here's the hope for it. Amazon Prime does have a bunch of shows that release weekly. So it's not out of the question that that's going to happen. We just don't know yet. I don't think we will see the Age of Legends until Roidion. That could be, again, I think you're right about that too. I think we might see glimpses of it, but not realize it is. I don't think we're going to get to Roidion and not seeing the flashbacks. Like we need to know what the Dragon Reborn is first. That's my thought. So I think if it's weekly, the hype will build slowly anyway. So by the time the hype metastasizes, there will be a few episodes in the bank, as it were. I agree with that. Again, I look at it this way. So somebody was asking me, what do you think about the show? What about the people were saying, I'm very, very worried about the marketing and the promoting. I'm not worried about that. Here's why. Here's the 2 reasons why I'm not worried. And here's what I'm focused on. I want high quality production. I want it to be good. That is all I care about, because here's what will happen from that. If it's good, people will watch it. It's a big title. Okay. This is not a brand new show that has to build hype around itself. There are 90 million books sold of the Wheel of Time. They've been resold over and over at discount bookstores. I mean, there are literally tens of millions of people who have read these books. Okay. If even a small fraction of those watch the show, it will be popular, period. Okay. So if it's good, people will keep watching it. It will build hype. Game of Thrones was not incredibly popular its first season. It got hype because it was good. Okay. Same thing. That's all I'm worried about is good acting, good writing, high production value. If it is cheap looking, if it looks like Shannara, then it's not going to do well. So I want them to spend the money, and I think if it's good, it succeeds, period. That's the way I look at it. If it's good, it succeeds. If it's not good, it probably won't make it. And that's why I really want high-quality productions. And the reasons I'm excited, guys, are not because I'm just a fanboy that wants it to be good. But again, go back and watch my video on the background people. The reason I am so excited for the way that they're doing this is not Rafe, although Rafe is not bad. It's the team that Rafe has surrounded himself with. They've got some good writers. More importantly, they've got great directors, great set design, great CGI people. great directors. Like, this is something, look, they got high. These are not, again, these aren't even like middle of the road people they hired. They hired some of the best people in the industry to do this. They don't do that if they're not putting the quality into it. Uda Brezowitz is about one of the best directors they could have pulled in to do this, period. She's one of the best TV directors out there. So if you're not familiar with who she is, she's done Westworld, she's done The Wire, she's done I don't think she's done Game of Thrones, but she's done a lot of really good stuff. And she's a cinematographer, so she frames shots really well. I'm just picturing how she frames Rand and Tam walking down the road. Like, some of that is I'm excited about. So that's why I'm excited. I hope that catches. It's not because, and I'm not worried about some of the things people are worried about. In fact, my next video, I've got stuff put together here on kind of dispelling the worries of the fan base. Like, what are the biggest things that people are worried about, and maybe why they shouldn't be as worried about those things as they think. So any case, I'm very, very excited. And yes, she did direct that, the Kikasuya. I always screw that one up. She did direct that one. And it's probably the best episode of Westworld there is. So she's awesome. I'm very pumped about the people behind it. So Frodo Fraggins, Amazon put out The Boys, which was high quality. Agreed, guys. The Boys was really good. If you want to watch that, very high quality. It's kind of tongue in cheek, but it's meant to be. If you want to get a good feel for what they can do, Amazon promotes this stuff very well. By the way, they buy ads during movies. Like, so if you go to movies, you'll see ads before the movie at a movie theater talking about Amazon shows. They can push this out to Amazon Prime members. All of you obviously know about the Wheel of Time show, but the vast majority of the fan base doesn't yet. They don't get online and look for this. They don't know that it exists. Every day I get a comment on one of my videos saying, I had no idea that they were making it into a show. I'm so excited. Yes, there are tons of people out there that don't know about this yet. Amazon will get it out there. And as people start to realize, oh, wait, there's a Wheel of Time show, more people are going to say, I read that book 20 years ago. I'm going to go watch that. Those people then come in. And what about the people that just read the first book and were maybe, but I'll watch the show, and then they get hooked? That's what happened with Game of Thrones. And it built a pressure. And frankly, look, I'm biased on this. I'm not really that biased. I pay attention to fantasy. Wheel of Time's a better story than Game of Thrones. It follows a more strict structure. Robert Jordan and George R.R. Martin share the same kind of just write characters and let them develop, start writing style. But Robert Jordan is a much more middle ground version of that. He had places for his characters to go. So yeah, he let it get away from him, but the story's more concise. It's a better story. I think it's more fun to watch. Amanda with another video. The first scene, or another donation. Thank you so much, Amanda. The first scene will be Moiraine arriving because the show is from her perspective. I do think we get the scene with Rand and Tam, maybe the second scene. I think that's a possibility. I really do. I won't be upset by that in the slightest bit. I think it's very smart of them to push Moiraine as being the main character. I think it's very smart. Okay. Westworld is really good. I'm looking forward to the next season. Same. It's one of my favorite shows. I hope they get Lexi Alexander to direct some down the road. I'm not familiar with him, or Gareth Edwards. Not really familiar with them, but that I might be if you told me what they'd done. Uda and Rosamund are the producers to have bigger stakes in it than just being average acting and directing gig. I agree. They're both, by the way, they're both listed as producers right now. So that's a big thing to me. That means they're invested. And that means Rosamund is making this a big part of her career, which is also a good thing. And Amazon does use YouTube ads. So I imagine on my videos, you will see a whole lot of Wheel of Time ads, just a heads up. Wheel of Time has more of a mass audience appeal. I agree with that as well. Now, Game of Thrones is a lot more grounded. I don't know if I would say grounded. I think grittier is probably the word. I think we sometimes mistake gritty for being grounded. I don't think it's grounded to say that everybody goes off to prostitutes. I mean, that's basically Game of Thrones is people get heads chopped off and it's a lot grittier. But that's not, that happens in the Wheel of Time a lot too, by the way. The Wheel of Time is Wheel of Time is more violent than A Song of Ice and Fire. Heads up, peeps. It's way more violent. Okay. It's a complete series. Yeah, and it's a complete series. That Z brought this up. The big thing about Wheel of Time that is going to give this a better ending is because it's complete. Urash, thank you so much. I appreciate that. Appreciate the donation a lot, man. Appreciate it. Hopefully I'm pronouncing that correctly. Carl Urban would be a great Lan. Hope he's done with the boys filming. I think Carl Urban is wonderful, so I think he'd be great. I don't think he's going to end up being Lan. Just my 2 cents. I think he is going to be stuck with the boys because it went really, really well. And they can shoot 2 shows, but I think that would be hard to take on a role like Lan because Lan is going to be an actor who is kind of a B-level actor, in my opinion. I think that's who they're going to hire because Lan, unlike Moraine, is present the whole story from beginning to end. So when they're able to bring in somebody like Rosamund, well, there's a period of time where she's not going to be there, okay, beyond flashbacks. So that's why they can bring in a bigger name there. I don't think Lan will be a huge name. Carl Urban would be a big get, and maybe he would do that. I just think it'll be someone like Daniel Wu. To me, I'm going to come back to that. I think he'd be great for that role. So, hey, Rafe, I know you're watching all my videos, and you've probably not done anything with casting on Lan yet, but get Daniel Wu. When I learned there was a Wheel of Time show being created, I started rereading and watching those videos with you and Daniel. See, and in fact, guys, I'm going to be starting a reread with you all. That'll be coming here in the next month or two. What we're going to do, I'm actually building a fan website. So you guys will see this here down the road. I'll give you a sneak peek of what's going on in the background, but as a part of that, I'm going to be doing a reread of the series, and I'm going to make videos that recap and talk about some of the little Easter eggs in each chapter of the book. So I'll have a video for each chapter, and that's how that'll go. So you'll see those come out a lot because they'll be fairly short, and then those are all going to go on the website, which will be kind of a culmination of the community. I'm going to try to put it all together. So hopefully you guys will be excited to see that. I'm excited to make it. Okay. Whoa, Stubble McShave again. I appreciate it, man. I think Alan Cummings would be a great as Fane. I agree. Alan Cummings would be wonderful. Basically, anybody that can do a crazy eyes and crazy face and be just nuts would do well as Fane. I'm hoping they don't cut Fane. I think that's a possibility. I think it's possible that they could cut him. I would not want to see that, but I think it's possible. Okay. Counterpart, Game of Thrones was less about the fantasy and more about the relationships. Game of Thrones was fantasy for people who don't like fantasy. I think that's how they marketed it. But let's be real. Game of Thrones is actually more stereotypical fantasy than Wheel of Time. I'm going to say it. Why do I say that? Because there are dragons and there are castles and kings and queens, and it fits a lot of those tropes. And the only thing that it's missing is like magic, like I shoot lasers out of my hand magic. Okay, it doesn't have that. So the one area where Wheel of Time could feel a little bit like that is if they've got Aes Sedai shooting stuff out of their hands. I don't think we're going to see that because, frankly, you don't even see channeling. I think you're going to see channeling look a lot more on screen, sometimes as telekinesis. I think that's what it's going to look like. Floating things around, fires popping up. You're going to see it look a little bit more like telekinesis until they need to show the weaving. Okay, and then I think you'll see it. So I think we'll see a little bit more Doctor Strange. But I think they're going to try not to show channeling as me shooting lasers out of my hands. Okay, I think they're going to follow that script with Game of Thrones because they do want to attract the non-fantasy audience. Now, that all being said, the reason that it's great that Wheel of Time is coming next is Game of Thrones did already break that foundation of thinking that fantasy's boring. There's a lot of people that would have thought that before that no longer think that. Okay. Now, by the way, and this will tick a lot of people off, but I'm just telling you, it's going to happen. I don't see a way that this does not happen. As a part of trying to attract that audience and not necessarily be grimdark, but in a way of maybe upping the game a little bit, we're going to see nudity. I think there will be more sex than there is in the books. It's going to happen, whether we like it or not. They're going to do that because they want to attract the audience that doesn't think it's traditional fantasy. Like, for instance, it's not Lord of the Rings and it's not Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. Okay. So they're trying to make a distinction that this is not kids fantasy like The Hobbit, but this is more adult. That's what they want. That's the age group that they're targeting, because that's who gets an Amazon Prime subscription and that's who buys stuff through Amazon. So that's what I think. So I think you're going to see it whether we want to or not. So you may have to put your eye muffs on sometimes if you don't want to see that. I don't think Nae'Blis is currently wearing pants. I'll leave that to your imagination. Thomas Walker, thank you so much again, man. I appreciate it. Great channel. When do you think season 1 ends? I think it will be before the hunt, when Rand is declared the Dragon Reborn, as this provides an end of sorts to Moiraine's quest, and she is the main character for season 1. I'm so torn on this because I think they're messing with us. They've released episode titles. If you take those episode titles and match them to corresponding chapter titles, then it looks like we're getting season 1 and season 2, or I'm sorry, book 1 and book 2 in season 1. That's what it looks like. I really hope that isn't the case, because I don't want it to go that fast. Could I see them doing that? Yes. So if they follow that, then I think we're going to see the end of season 2. I think we're going to see Falma basically be the end of season 1. What I'm hoping that they're doing is messing with the timeline a little bit, and I hope that basically I want to see the end of the first book be the end of the first season. Game of Thrones did that. So the first book and the first season were the exact same. So, excuse me. If you've never read Game of Thrones, by the way, and you've watched the show, the first book is literally line by line the first season. Like, it's all, like, even the dialogue is the same. It's crazy. They did that, and they did that deliberately and then went a different direction down the road. I kind of hope that's what they do here. That's just my 2 cents. So I don't want that to happen, but I think we might see that. Okay. Oh, Ipa said something and I missed it. Where did Ipa say something? I see people agreeing with him, but I don't see his comment. Oh, there it is. I don't think Moiraine will be the true main character of the first season. It's just their marketing strategy because they have a big name. I agree with that too. I think she will start off being that way, but I do not think she is going to be the main character. They can't market a series. They're not going to get somebody to watch saying, hey, here's Joshua Stradowski, who you've never heard of. Okay. That's as the main character. They're not going to do that. They're going to make Moiraine the main character because they knew they had, when they were releasing that material, they were already in talks with her, I'm sure. They wouldn't have actually greenlit the series until they had an actor or actress to play the main character. I think she was probably in the talks, not official, but I think she was there from probably the get-go, is my opinion. Okay, so winding down, guys, we are going to do a quick, I want to give you a heads up on what we are going to do for the next Wheel of Time Jeopardy. So who wants to be a contestant on the next Wheel of Time Jeopardy? Anybody? Don't all talk at once. So here is what's going to happen with that. So while you guys are doing that, here's how I'm going to pick it. My company is partnering up. For those of you in the United States, you will have heard of this charity. For those of you outside the United States, it's fine. It's we'll talk about it a little bit. I partner up every year with the Make-A-Wish Foundation. The Make-A-Wish Foundation is a nonprofit that basically what they do, if you've never heard of them, is they grant wishes for terminally ill children. Okay, so you may have seen this sometimes where You know, they get to go hang out with a sports team, or they get to go ride in a race car, or go to Disney World. I have firsthand experience with that. Not necessarily me, but people that I know have been a part of the Make-A-Wish company and what they've done. And so I partner with them and we try to raise money every year. So my big goal right now is I'm trying to raise $5,000 for them. Now, oftentimes, just a heads up, this is not just for kids that end up passing away. There are actually statistics that say Wish kids have a higher percentage of surviving the cancer because of the love that they feel from communities, the things that they get to do. That's why I'm passionate about it. And so if you've never heard of Make-A-Wish, it's something that I can clearly get behind. So here's what we're doing. I'm going to link my fundraising page for this. We're trying to raise $5,000. We have about 3 months here to do it. So here's the way that I'm going to approach this. Every time that you donate $5 or more to the Make-A-Wish, I'm going to enter you into the drawing here to be pulled out for that. And I'm sorry for those of you that can't contribute that. That's totally okay. Anything that you can do is great. But we're at 10,000 subs right now. And I figured, look, if every one of my subscribers gave $1, we would double. Gave $1, we would double what I needed to get. And so what I'm going to do here, I'm going to link the fundraising page here in the live stream. And then I'm going to actually, I'll tweet it out. I'll put it in my videos. And so my goal here, like I said, I would love to blow this out the doors, but I want to basically I want to blow the doors off this. If we can do more than 5,000, great. But I really want to help out a charity. And so the way I look at this is, if you can donate at least $5, you're going to be in the drawing here. We'll run this for the next week. So every time you donate $5 or more, you're going to be entered in that drawing to be on the next Wheel of Time Jeopardy. And then we're going to keep going after that. So I'm going to keep adding in different contests. I like to give away stuff, so I send out copies of the books, things like that. Did somebody say the link did not work? Let me try it again. Did the link work? Anybody? Can somebody tell me if the link worked? Oh, wow. Thank you, Jennifer. Wow. Jennifer Wood, thank you so much. You're awesome. Thank you so much. Okay, the link did work. I appreciate you so much, Jennifer. $5 gets you in the contest. And again, if you guys, if you want to spread that around just anywhere that we can get that, I'll keep giving updates on my videos, but that's something that I'm passionate about. I think everybody can get behind helping sick kids. So if we can blow the doors off 5,000, I would love it. So, hey guys, thank you so much for joining us. Thank you again, Jennifer. That was crazy. I appreciate you. I will put the link in the description of the video. I'll tweet it out. I'll put it in my Discord server. If you guys want to be a part of the Discord server and you're not already, MK, can you throw a link to the Discord in as well so people can join the Discord? Or I don't know if you can invite, but we'll do that as well. And I'll post this in there, and we'll just have an update. I'm going to make a new channel for fundraising in the Discord. I really, what I want to be able to do going forward on the channel, guys, not just this, but I want to be able to make charity a part of what we do. It's a great community. I think if we can get behind helping people and kind of team up for different things. So if you have a charity that you think is great, down the pipe here, private message me, and I'd love to push anything, when we do that. So, hey guys, thank you all. Thanks again so much for everything you did and for supporting the channel, and awesome that we got to 10,000 subs. Hopefully we'll be doing this again for 20. But thank you guys again, and yeah, take care.